Streets of Italy are awash with candles, and the sounds of a lone mandolin picking into the night. The night is brisk and cold. Was that money taking out of your pocket? Or maybe your gold? Lake Como looks beautiful this time of year. Maybe you might go out there. Send a letter to your loved one. Let them know not to fear. You won't be gone forever, so don't shed a tear. The papers are in order, and it's time to take flight. After all, it's Italy, and Milan has a heart in its hand. Or maybe an axe.
I didn't see you there.
It all started early this morning.
From hunting ghosts to Bigfoot, UFOs, cryptids, true crime, paranormal, and more.
I've always wanted to see a UFO.
Oh, I was researching for your entertainment.
That's Bigfoot's cat.
He basically wrote the book on Monroe.
We aren't really comedians. What if Buddha did cocaine? The Addams Family on meth. This is the Black Cat Report.
See you on the other side.
Hello, and welcome to episode 103 of the Black Cat Report. I am Joey, and with me is the raptacular, spectacular, factacular Gil.
Yes. Nailed it.
Before we get into the episode, we wanted to take a moment, like we always do, to remind you that Beers, Booze, and Boogeyman episode 6 will be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern on July 6th for our 6th episode, with the topic Conspiracies on Tap, your favorite conspiracy. I want to hear your favorite or one that you made up. And also, please give us your craziest and best Bigfoot conspiracies just for one of our friends that's on the show. Before we get into this topic, we want to announce something major that me and Gil decided we're going to do about a week ago. So we are going to release a Patreon.
Yes.
Because we have so many bursting ideas that we just want to get them out to you. But me and Gil obviously want to put more of our time into doing podcasting, so we need a little help.
Yeah, we've spent the past 100+ episodes trying to
2 years.
figure out how to, make a living doing podcasting without actually setting up any listener funding. But we also have major issues with advertising. If anybody who's ever listened to the show can tell, we're incredibly fucking picky. And we just don't want to wrap our names on something that we're not absolutely fully fucking in love with.
We're bashful, you know?
Yeah. And so gonna start a Patreon. I wanted to do private setup and set up an app and do all this other crazy tech shit, but that's kind of been holding us back. And Joey made the excellent point the other day, is like, people are literally familiar with Patreon. It might suck, there might be some downfalls with it, we can't do all the things that we want to do, but the thing is, once we do actually start getting an income, an actual income from creating the content that y'all know and listen to and hopefully love, we'll have time to work on all that other shit. And I'm like, damn, homie, you right? So that's what we're doing.
And you'll get more. We'll have more time to sit and research the crazier things. So the things that maybe most people haven't researched into, me and Gil have time to translate these things. Maybe even hire translators to do this for us so that we can get the translated copies of stuff instead of Google Translate.
Whoa. I mean, mostly this is an excuse to hire in Gil with 2 L's as our professional research assistant.
He has been waiting just for us,
Yeah.
give him that little cash flow. Actually, we weren't going to pay him in cash. We were just going to pay him in...
No, just natty. He just drinks natty.
Natty.
Not even natty light.
Not even natty
just
light.
natty.
Yeah, he's just natty.
Just natty.
Same page there, yeah.
They call him around the clubs Nat Daddy, because he only drinks Nat Daddies.
No capitulation for sure.
No, but we're super stoked to be doing the Patreon. More information will be coming out next week. We're just kind of giving you a heads up here. And here's the thing, too. Hit us up with ideas of stuff that you would want from us, Patreon-wise. We have a million ideas. That's part of the reason why we've been, so hesitant to kind of, pull the trigger on this, is we have a million ideas of different directions and stuff that we want to go. But at the end of the day, we're making it for you. Where we want something that you're excited for and that you look for. And if it's related to this kind of content, guarantee you we're going to fucking love it too. So if there's something that you're like, damn, this would be so cool if they just did this, or if they could do this, or if we could do this, like if there's ways that y'all can interact and you want to participate or, be a part of it, we're all ears.
Yes, but we do want to make clear before we get into the episode and delve into our topic today that BCR episodes will still be free to you.
Free, baby.
We will not be charging for those. Anyways, let's get into today's topic. Antonio Boggia, the first serial killer of Italy, born on December 23rd in 1799 in Orio, which is near Lake Como in Italy, and it's pretty close to the border of Switzerland. Well, not a lot is known or written about his family or childhood, so we'll have to skip right ahead to the start of his adventures, honestly, because, dude, in the late 1700s, early 1800s, there's not a lot of record keeping of that. So it's kind of spotty on finding it, especially with this guy. He left his hometown in 1818 at the age of 19, and though it is not really agreed upon as to where he went at 19, he definitely settled into a new town by the age of 19.
Okay.
Well, throughout his teens and early 20s, he worked in several different jobs. He started working as a building contractor, which is basically he's just a freelancer, which he actually wasn't too bad at.
What is this, a skyscraper? Here's a contract. What is this, a post office? Here's a contract. I'm a building contractor.
That's what I do. I just hand out contracts. He was actually able to make a decent living at this, right? Because, well, he wasn't bad at it. But eventually his business did go under. And whether that's by, inflation or because the economy went under at that time, I will say, though, it wasn't exactly mere coincidence that his business went under. There was financial outside factors, but a lot of people filed grievance against him and to the local authorities.
Ooh.
Because he was forcing them into contracts they didn't want. Like you just said, he was walking around, there's a contract, that's a building, that's a skyscraper.
Here's a contract. I'm a building contractor.
I'm contracting all the buildings. Well, this obviously had people to start looking for him, right?
How the hell did my house sign this? I didn't know its name was Matthew.
Well, he was around 25 at this time, right? So people started looking for him. He's 25. It's about 1824, 1825. And with people looking for him, he's like, got to get out of town.
Yeah.
He skipped town and went to the area of Sardinia, which is in northwest Italy. Well, around this time, he eventually beat the crap out of an unnamed man, basically near death.
You're a building inspector? You've been going around fondling all the buildings I'm under contract with.
Well, after this, he was basically arrested, charged, and jailed.
You got the wrong guy. That guy's the one that's fondling buildings. I'm just going to check the piping down here real quick. Oh, yeah, that's solid lead right there. Yes, it is. Ooh, good thing.
Well, at this time, he was basically charged, arrested, and jailed. But luckily enough for him, there was a prison revolt about a couple months into his tenure at the prison, and he was one of the few prisoners who actually was able to escape and get away.
I made a contract with the prison.
Let me climb right out of its doors. After his escape, he made his way back to the Lombardia Veneto province, which included where he was headed next, which is Milan.
Okay.
And which is where the area, kind of where he was from. What was awesome is that he was actually bilingual and that he could speak German, too, as well as his native tongue.
He could speak both Italian and Italian.
Well, I think it was Milanese at the time. It was from the area, so he would speak both.
Ooh, okay.
And it helped him become a fire stoker at the Palazzo Cusani for the Austrian military commander. Austria was actually occupying Milan at this time up until about 1859. Well, we're going to fast forward just a few more years because we're going to do that in the stories. Like, there's big swaths of time where there's not much going on. We're going to fast forward to 1831. And wedding bells are ringing. He went to live with his wealthier wife in Via Narino, as well as their landlady. So it's, it's a weird little situation. The landlady's pretty fucking old, too. Like, she's not young, obviously.
You can move in if you want to. It's okay. Are you sure it's okay? I mean, I talked to your house earlier. It said it was fine. I got it in paper right here. Building contract.
As well as getting the contracts from her to stay in the house, he was also perceived as like a normal God-fearing Christian who would always put others first.
What was that? Thought it was God.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like a lot of serial killers have this first impression on people, right? It's mostly never until after the fact that people start spilling stories about what they saw, the person mutilating cats or other animals or doing something else that's like we would consider abnormal, right? He obviously always attended church, the Church of San Giorgio al Palazzo, religiously, hence the normal God-fearing Christian that everyone thought of him as. And he was also known to attend a lot of auctions, which, no Gil, I don't think he was at the Frank Oldfield type of auctions. From what it seems and is written, he lived a normal life up until April of 1849. Antonio Boggia lured Angelo Serafino Reboni into Boggia's warehouse, most likely with the talk of how they could procure some money by either scheme or business deals.
Got an idea for a contract.
While they were walking and Angelo's back was turned, bam! Down came the axe into Angelo's body, and that was all she wrote for Angelo. His body was cut into pieces, dismembered, and hidden in the basement of Antonio's house.
So do we have anything about what prompted him? Like, is this, like, did that guy accidentally put a nail through the wall and it was under contract?
I'm literally just about to get right into it.
God damn it. All right.
Now, unlike other serial killers, his motive was not for lust, for sexual pleasure, or even power. Antonio Boggia was fucking greedy. He wanted money. So he hatched a plan that he would also use later for his other victims.
Okay.
Boggia and two other unnamed cronies that he would usually use for this got a notary to sign off on a power of attorney that left 1,400 sfanzici, or Austria's dollars at the time, to Antonio Boggia. Now, he had to get two power of attorneys set up, right? Because the first one actually failed. Raboni's cousin saw through it and denied it and would not give him the money. But the second one actually went through, which is weird because he literally came back the next day and was like, but how about this contract?
But what if there was another contract?
And eventually the money was passed to Boggia under the guise that Raboni was going to use the money to get married. And this was the second little thing he used. Raboni was already dead before this happened, so he just came in and, talked to the cousin. It's like, hey, give me some of that money. And he had to get the notary to sign off on it. Well, Antonio was smart, and justice, I always like to say, was slow. And, sadly, Rabone would stay hidden for more than a decade. Well, his next murder would be even easier. And I told you, we're going right into the fucking thing.
His next murder?
Yeah, his next murder. This time, he didn't even worry about the power of the attorney.
Ooh.
The very next year, presumably, I'd say when he actually used up most of the money from the previous murder, Antonio spotted a wealthy grain broker at the auctions he liked to attend. More contracts.
He's like, I'm running out of money for that good stationery. How am I going to print these contracts?
And on January 15th, 1850, that wealthy grain broker, Giuseppe Marchesati, would meet his end. Now, just like last time, Antonio lured his victim back to the warehouse, which is basically his own warehouse he had in this little L-shaped corner at the end of a street, right? So it was very hard for people to get down there. Well, with promises of business ventures and more money and contracts, he convinced Giuseppe that he needed an initial investment of 4,000 sfanzice to actually have the meeting and hear out the idea, right? So he's like, you got to put a down payment, you got to give me a deposit to get this brilliant idea. Now, it must be said that Giuseppe was not just your normal laborer or small-time businessman, as he was pretty well off and had been in the game long enough so that he would see if there was big talk and bluster and it wasn't true, right?
Yeah.
So Antonio laid it on him thick to be able to get this guy there with 4,000 sfanzices.
Now I got a question for you, Mr. Grain Operator Man. Can you help me move 47 kilos of black rice, the forbidden rice? I think I could do that. Meet me at midnight. It's perfect. The cops won't be able to see the rice.
Well, as the money was given over, and just before, Antonio was like, here's this great idea. Black rice.
Black rice.
So great.
Could you imagine this in meatballs?
Before he said it out loud, before that idea just booped out of his head. Smack!
Oh, God.
Down, Cape in the accent Giuseppe. And there goes all his pasta sauce, his bodily pasta sauce.
Pasta sauce all over the black rice.
Yeah. Now, honestly, after I thought about the horrible sight of an axe coming down and landing directly into somebody, I started thinking about, shouldn't somebody notice that this guy who was very well-to-do went missing? Wouldn't there be inquiries made into his disappearance?
I mean, yeah.
Well, there are actually 2 inquiries made, not more than a few days out of his murder.
But he was under contract with the police station. Not the police. The actual police station building contractor.
Oh my God. It's like that movie with Ben Affleck when he was the accountant, and he was just actually like he was an accountant, and he was also like a killer. He could shoot a sniper rifle, and it's just like all these random things he could do. It's like, dude, this was never trained to shoot a sniper rifle.
Remember the decimal. No, I am hurting inside thinking about the fact that Ben Affleck, as far as I know, has never been on an Affleck insurance commercial.
Yeah, he's been on Dunkin' Donuts, but he's never been on Affleck. And they've never had the duck go, it's Ben Affleck.
And then he looks over and he's like, yeah.
And then you go, not that Affleck.
Not that Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's so easy. Him going out to his mailbox like, who keeps sending me all these fucking claims? Affleck. And just like walking by in the background.
Yeah. And then it's like, not that Affleck. Switches to the Batman. It's like, not that Affleck.
For some reason, Matt Damon's there.
Yeah, Matt Damon's there.
This writes itself.
Well, his mother was one of the people who actually reached out to the authorities to see if they could track him down, right? That was the first one. The second one was the banker who lended him the money for this. Obviously, the banker's going to be a banker, and he's just like,
yeah,
I didn't get my deposit back within the few days they said they were going to get it back, so I kind of need that money back. Well, after a few days or a week or so, they pretty much all decided that he just took the $4,000 and ran and never to be heard from again. They're just like, hey, he just took the money, which, to be fair, made a lot of sense at the time because in that area there was a lot of revolutions happening. War was happening between the Kingdom of Austria and the Italian states. So somebody could easily took that 4,000 and just been like, fuck it, I'm gone. Well, moving into his third murder. This one was a bit easier for him, even easier than the first one.
Okay.
As it seemed the power of attorney looked a little more real than the other ones because a man named Pietro Mizzau was a blacksmith and an owner of a shop and ironworks. Well, in April of 1850, honestly, I don't know if I need to tell you again what happened.
What happened?
Metza was obviously lured into the warehouse and chopped up by the axe, basically.
How did he chop them up? Okay, so I'm imagining there's that whole, like, evildoer scene where it's like, oh, drop my pen. And then the guy goes to bend down. He's like, yeah, you did drop your pen. And then he just comes out. He's like, hatchety hatch. You know what I'm saying? Coming in with the hatchet and shit.
The next one, we're going to go into why it happened. His attempted murder. Well, like I was saying, he got chopped up, basically. Chopped up with an axe. And the reason that Pietro even met Antonio was because the ironworks were in bad shape and losing money. A mutual friend of Antonio and Pietro named Benda introduced the two, and with what can only be assumed as an amazing pitch from Antonio, he actually signed over his shop to be managed by Antonio. Antonio, for a long time, managed and actually paid the employees of the ironworks. But what isn't clear and wasn't part of the deal was the little part that said Antonio would have dominion over the selling of the ironworks and reap the rewards from it, which is what he put into it afterwards and got notarized. Well, after a few months of management, Antonio sold the company for a way lower price than the actual worth of the company to Benda.
Benda la creme. Okay, so we got Antonio, right? He's going out there.
Yep.
Promises of fancy rice.
Yep.
He's signed contracts with every fucking building in the city at this point. Half the fucking homeowners have no clue that their building is under contract. Pretty sure that's how building contractors work. Anyways, and this is all in Milan. Is he still in Milan at this point? Yeah.
He is in Milan. Yep. He came back.
So he is taking out the owners and high-level folks across all of these major businesses. I'm assuming in the business district or the warehouse district of Milan.
Warehouse district,
right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Where all the fabric ships in or something. I don't know what the fuck they do there. So at what point does he show up to, quote unquote, work during the day? And like the place is just a fucking ghost town, literally.
Yeah.
How many people has he killed at this point that are like heads of businesses? And that is important too. You brought it up, like this is at the time of like revolution, major upheaval. You know what I'm saying?
These people could be leaving. You never know.
But at the same time, it's just like this place is starting to look like Detroit in 2008. Like, what the fuck's going on here? Everything's empty. Like, what the fuck, man?
Everything, in that time, everything was shifting. Everything was empty. He also knew the Austrian, commanders in the area. So he knew these people. And like, so because he was the fire sticker for him. Now it's not, it's not really known whether or not he was like buddy with him.
Yeah.
But for what it seems with like the way he was good with people, the way he could get people to trust him.
Yeah.
I think personally, he knew people. He knew local policemen. He knew local financiers.
Oh.
And so he probably had a good ear of all these people.
Gotcha.
That he could be like, no, I don't know what happened to them. Plus, you add in the revolutions, Austro-Hungarian Empire. Well, the Austrian Empire. Sorry, they weren't Austro-Hungarian yet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like there's so much going on. Some of these people just go missing all the time. Even if they were big, well-to-do people, they could have just left to go for greener pastures. Hard to track.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, I personally think Benda buying the business was actually a con.
Oh.
And I think Benda was part of it because Benda introduced Pietra to Antonio. Benda and Antonio knew each other already. So Benda wanted to get that business, use that. I don't know if Benda knew if Antonio was going to kill Pietra, but to got the business out from him, and now Benda owns the business. Well, after his third murder, which was Pietra, and before his fourth murder, he had an attempted murder, right? So much like other serial killers, they kind of get lazy or maybe don't do their best when they get comfortable. In April of 1851, seems like he's actually an April murderer because that's 3 that are in April. Guess what he would be in Axes? Like an Aries, but with an X. Well, he definitely was in the Axis powers.
God damn it, Joey. Yeah, no, I mean, he's in his midsummer years. You know what I'm saying? He's like getting the sacrifices out of the way. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't have a rock, so, next best thing. Brings the rock to them in the shape of an axe.
Yeah. Well, on April 3rd, he convinced Giovanni Comi to come to his warehouse so that he could, for some reason, check his accounts. I don't know what that means.
Spanish red rice. Yeah, you heard that right. You meet me over there, 9 o'clock. Bring the red light so the cops can't see it. This rice is just white. Not anymore.
And he looks at the camera and says, and that's how you get red rice.
All of these murders are food related. Okay. This is the thing. There's no such thing as a murder that's ever taken place in relation to Italy or Italians that didn't directly relate to food. Think about it.
Yep.
You've never seen a murder.
Correct.
I know they take them out to the desert. They shoot him in the head 15 times. What do they do right afterwards? Go to their mom's house. They have a full dinner at fucking 3 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It's always food related. Honestly, Italians invented hangry. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going out on a limb. I'm sorry if that's too controversial.
That's all he is. He's just hangry. He's really hungry for red rice. He just wants red rice. Well, you remember how you asked, like, how they were tricked into this? Like, basically, they weren't, just not looking at him and he hits him in the head.
Hey, could you test my light switch? Yeah, sure. Flicks off. Flicks back on. Oh, shit, I got an axe. What if that's how you tricked people to kill them? Flick that switch for me real quick. Click, click. Seems to be working. Oh, God!
Well, it's not
comically has an axe in his hand.
It's not even that great of a story how he tricked them.
Ah, shit, it's a pool noodle. What's a pool noodle? It's the 1800s.
Can you turn it off again?
Hey, turn it off one more time. Yeah, sure. What's a pool? All right.
Yeah. Well, like you were asking earlier about how, they got distracted enough to where he could hit him in the head with an axe. Well, just like I was saying earlier, he was basically like, hey, look at your checking account. And basically like bent over the top of the desk, with a magnifying glass, trying to look at this really small writing that he had. And then he just he reached down behind him and then cramp right on his head with the axe.
Damn. He got him to read the terms and conditions. That's the worst fucking way to die, is you're trying to read, like, the T&Cs.
Yep.
I mean, they already had a headache, so their head was about to explode anyways. Really, he was putting them out of their misery.
But this time his victim, Giovanni Comi, survived. He didn't die when he got hit. He didn't, get knocked down. He had strength enough to get up, right? And he's just like, shit, and he fucking fled out the door and ran down the street. Somehow this guy, maybe at the last minute, he maybe kind of moved his head a little bit because the contract just wasn't right. He just turned and kind of glanced off of him, and he got out of the place. He ran into one of his friends who was a financial police officer, which I didn't know they had those back then, which is just so lucky. This is the luckiest guy in the world.
Contract crime. I've been looking into this for years.
Yeah. And so they both arrested the guy, right? And
They both.
yeah, well, he had to help stop the guy. You know, he had an axe. He's like chasing the guy because he doesn't want him to go tell somebody. So he's chasing him with the axe. And so they both like restrain him, get him down, and they arrest him. Well, during the trial, the judge noted that Antonio Boggia was in a state of insanity, and he was deemed insane.
I'm putting pineapple on my pizza. I'm putting my pizza in pineapple. And he's like, this guy's crazy.
Dude, in Italy, they'll fucking shoot you for that.
Yeah.
Well, instead of the death penalty, he was sentenced to Sanavra Mental Hospital for 3 years after he tried to kill somebody.
It's just Italian cooking class.
We'll get him straight.
And this is where we have our day-to-day activities, and this is the art room, and they're like, yes, meatballs are round. And they're just like,
they're just making meatballs. And how many layers are acceptable in lasagna? Oh, good. That's right. 3. 3 layers. No more. No less.
okay, get your hand out of the oven.
5.
His guards just come in, just fucking like tackle him, inject him with fucking marinara. Pineapple spills all over the fucking ground.
It's okay. I'm calm now. The marinara helps.
Let it in. Just let it in.
Well, after he was released from the mental hospital, when he knew he got injected with marinara a few times, he went right back to living with his wife and the landlady.
This time I'm going to sign a contract with myself. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm not going to eat pineapple. I'm not going to go
Not again.
crazy.
Never again.
Not again. Well, as well as not eating pineapple, he did stave off the urge to murder and rob for a while.
Good job.
Just a good while, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, right? Like a normal person.
So we're up to like 50, 51, 52?
Yeah.
52.
He's 50. It was 51 when he tried to kill the person. So April of 51. So 3 years, 54.
Okay.
And we're going to go about 5 years ahead to get to his next part. Yeah. Because he's, he just goes to a little normal, he's just making marinara. He's just, right? Well, in 1859, that itch would come right back. Now, I want to ask.
All right.
Have you ever thought about murdering your landlord or landlady?
Is this on the record or?
Well, Antonio Boggia's landlady was named Esther Maria Perocchio. They rented out part of her house to Antonio and his wife. So this is what we were talking about later.
Yeah.
Antonio and Esther actually became really good friends, and Antonio would help her around the house as she was, she was elderly. She's like 69, 70.
Yeah.
Well, this wouldn't stop Antonio from bringing down the axe on the landlady hard in his usual way. He dismembered her, cutting off her limbs piece by piece. And then after he had cut her up, he buried her underneath the stairs in a walled-off secret room. He washed off all the blood by having the doorman of the place bring in pitchers of water, unbeknownst to him. And I imagine the doorman was just like, it's just pasta sauce. You must be in love with pasta sauce.
She was trying to put pineapple on a pizza. You got to believe me.
He's just licking his fingers. And he's like, is that a new brand of pasta sauce you're getting out there? Can I try that? I wonder if it was kind of like the Telltale Heart, another Edgar Allan Poe poem, with the heart beating behind the wall, which he was beating underneath the floorboards. Or maybe like another short story, The Cask of Amontillado. If he could hear the scratches of the ghostly fingers behind the brick wall that they buried the guy from, remember? Do you remember that short story?
No.
That's a good one. You should read them. I mean, I only remember this stuff from high school. This is short stories we had in one of those books,
It's like our upcoming election when we realize that both of our candidates are total fucking D-bags and way the fuck too old to be president of the United States. And that's just slowly beating in the background. Or not. I don't know. Maybe just a thought.
I think you're probably damn right. And just like us, I don't think Antonia's going to get lucky. Take that in any of the ways that it could have been taken before.
Guards come in, inject you with marinara.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it was from the last statement I said or me and Gil being single. Well, the son of Esther filed an inquiry trying to find his dear mother on February 20th of 1860.
Dear mother. That should do. I'll just put that in the mailbox. 3 years later, it gets delivered to a fucking deer out in the woods. Bambi, I don't know what this letter is.
Oh, and that's the cause of Bambi's mom's dying. And then as the hunter came up to Bambi, touched the blood, licked it, marinara sauce.
And that hunter was Jeffrey Dahmer.
It all connects.
It all connects. Back to Lake Andrew Como.
Yeah, back to Lake Andrew Como. Well, this was 10 months after the murder, because the murder happened on May 11th of 1959, right? That's
2 days before my birthday. It's really sweet of him.
Oh, that's really nice. He was thinking about you.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to know why there was a discrepancy, the 10 months between him getting an official inquiry,
Joey, I'm kind of wondering, why was there a discrepancy of 10 months?
we'll go. It's actually not as bad as it seems.
Ah, God, it seemed bad.
Because right after she was murdered, unbeknownst to him, he had visited. And other residents that lived there told the son, hey, she's gone off to Lake Como. This is what we were told by Antonio Boggia.
And Antonio was super close with her. He was always helping her out with things like something like this. Although it might have sounded off, it wasn't enough to like raise alarm bells and suspicion, because it was like, oh, well, of course she would tell him.
Yep.
He's always running around with her, helping her out with things, this and then the other. You know, the son probably met him when he was there. And he's like, oh, yes, this is the nice gentleman. He's always willing to chop my firewood.
Yes.
Yes, I am. You know, like, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and so also it was noted too that she wasn't super normal. So to the son, he was kind of like, okay, her just getting up and leaving to Lake Como, she was pretty wealthy. So
Yeah.
it's not that out of character for her.
Yeah.
Well, the son was also told that Antonio Boggia was left in charge of the building and was collecting rent and doing all the repairs, which again
Kind of fits.
because he was helping already.
Yeah. Okay. This tracks.
And everything's fine. Like, so 10 months before, he's like, not a big deal. She's gone, whatever. Well, when he came back to see if his mom had returned from Lake Como, the son was shown letters by Antonio that were sent to him recently by Esther. And she was saying how much she loved it there and she might stay for good. So Antonio was really covering his tracks on this one.
Yeah.
I also want to note how shitty of a person Antonio was. So we love cats, obviously.
Yeah.
Black cats.
It's in the name.
But we love all cats. We love all animals.
Mostly cats.
During this time, it was noted that Antonio started clearing out and killing all the neighborhood cats that Esther had let stay there, eat there, and love.
Gonna murder this motherfucker.
Fuck this dude.
I'm going to summon him.
Yeah.
Kill this piece of shit.
Fuck it. You know what? I don't care about all the murders, you know?
I love pineapple on pizza. All right, I ain't even here judging him for that.
Fuck him. I'm pretty mad at this guy.
Pedro Alonso Lopez made me less angry than this.
Yeah, well, we did have the Karen to laugh at in that story.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
The Saint Karen. That made it much better.
I know it might be hard for you to understand right now, but thanks for cheering me up.
Yeah. Well, we kind of think about all serial killers. You know, the whole idea is that most of them, they don't hurt cats, but they kill other animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, cats are the serial killers of the animal world,
That's true.
which is why we love them.
Yep. Well, Antonio had smartly figured out that the son, Giovanni, and the mother, Esther, were not on the best of terms and found out that he could get some money out of Giovanni.
Oh.
They made an agreement that Giovanni would get a full couple months of rent from a new tenant as they rented out his mother's place while she wasn't there without her knowledge. Because at this point, Giovanni, who is the son, thinks that she's still alive and just staying at Lake Como.
Yeah.
So they start renting it out. Antonio is taking half of the month's rent and giving the other half to Giovanni.
So he's paying off the son at this point. Whole time, mom buried in a secret room under the stairs.
Yep. She's
Yeah.
fucking dead. Yeah, literally fucking dead.
Gotcha.
Well, Giovanni figured out after a good while that Antonio had basically forged documents allowing him to take over the apartment complex, literally forging contracts of the apartment they lived in.
Fucking building contractors.
Well, like he did with his other murders, he forged the documents and took control of the money. It was then and only then that Giovanni took this to the right person to investigate.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. It was a man named Judge Crivelli, and he started investigating.
Okay.
They quickly decided to search the house for her.
I think the first place we should look for her is her legal residency.
Literally, yeah. They didn't send letters to Lake Como. Like, this guy was actually like a good judge and detective at this time because he didn't go, well, let's take months to send a bunch of letters to Lake Como to see if he's at this residence.
I'm not giving credit to this judge right now. He hasn't earned it yet. The first place he checked is her legal address. That is not glorious detective work. Well, let's look for her at the place she's supposed to be first.
Gil.
Like,
Gil.
it's okay.
We can literally say that with the detectives that we have covered on this show, from serial killers and from other things, the bar is fucking low. Nobody would be able to hula under this bar if it were a real bar.
It seems she was kidnapped by a group of boys. I heard about this coming out of Germany.
In the future. Yeah, it was here that they found her body. They found her body underneath the staircase, chopped into pieces.
This is clearly not her, Detective Joey. You see, if you refer to this portrait of her body, one piece. Now, if you look at this cadaver here, the leg is over there, the arm is over there. This is all wrong.
Many pieces.
This is all wrong. That is, I know you're a rookie Joey. You said last time you saw her, she was alive and walking. This isn't her. Just sprinkle some pineapple on her and leave.
Wait a second, Detective Gil. Is that marinara coming out of her body? Send a letter to Lake Como. Well, they found the forged documents in one of the desk drawers in the house as well, with 2 other victims' names of them. So it was like, God, easy. This is the easy street. Like, literally, it was gift to them.
Why did he keep these things? Well, he's a contractor. That's what he's going to do.
He had to. He had to keep the contract and the power of attorney so he could show them and be like, ha-ha, I murdered these people. So Crivelli obviously knew that he had to search for more bodies. And the only place they knew to look, and I'm not giving him credit for this.
The cemetery?
No. No.
Dear God, there's millions.
He's the worst serial killer in Italian history. Well, I don't want to give this guy credit because I gave him credit for the first time for just doing the right thing. This is the dumb thing, the easiest thing to do. He goes, well, where would there probably be murdered bodies and dismembered bodies? It's probably where the other attempted murder happened. They went to the warehouse.
What?
They went to the warehouse where he killed these people. To be fair, at this point, nobody had been reported missing of these people.
Yeah.
You know, nobody they had looked into had been reported missing, so they just didn't fucking care. Again, that's why I'm not giving them credit for this. They just went to the place where the other murder almost happened. And so they dug into the cellar that was adjoined to the warehouse and found the cut-up, mutilated skeletons of Pietro Meazza, Giuseppe Marchesotti, and Angela Serafino Raboni.
Damn.
They had all been murdered for money and nothing else. And that was pretty much it. Like, they found this guy. They're like, dead to rights.
Yeah.
You fucking kill this guy. This is your factory. This is your warehouse. We know you killed them.
Yeah.
We have the bodies.
So he's like kind of like a murdering con artist, almost.
Yeah, he's a murdering con artist. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, now, Antonio was caught red-handed and thrown in jail.
It's sauce, I swear.
It's marinara. Well, as you know earlier, he was put into a psychiatric ward earlier for
Pineapple-related reasons.
trying to murder someone before. This time, he would not get out of it because Comey, who he tried to kill earlier, testified that Antonio was actually not crazy. He, in fact, was sane, and that everything he did was for financial gain, and thus was of sound mind. But he was a little crazy because there's like pineapple on his pizza.
I like how like the rest of the world has like these incredibly progressive laws, even in the 1800s around like, no, the dude's fucking crazy. You can't really hold him accountable. Where in the U.S., they're just like, you killed a bunch of people? He must be fucking sane. We're going to murder you.
Yeah, we're gonna hang you. You know, no big deal. Well, he was fucking not insane. I mean, you know, he probably had a little bit of like a
You kind of got to be
mentally deranged. Yeah, he had some kind of mentally derangement in his head that
criminally insane. Yeah.
criminally insane. Yeah. Well, this obviously led him to be convicted of murder of 4 people.
Yeah.
He was sentenced to death by hanging, which actually was not very common at the time, believe it or not. On April 4th, 1862, he was put into a wagon covered by black fabric with 2 executioners basically flown in from another town. And they weren't flown in, they were driven in or horse drawn in, but it's a euphemism, I like to say.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any executioners in Milan. They didn't have them anywhere near. There was a town a good bit away that they had to bring these two people in so they could fucking hang this dude.
Can you imagine an executioner from Milan? Like how fucking fashionable they would be. It's true.
Well, he wasn't even alone. He had a small procession of high officials of the court follow him to the open field between Porta Vicentina and Porta Ludovica, and in front of a huge audience of people, the rope was dropped and he was hanged until dead.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's dead.
He is dead.
But a curious thing happened. His body was buried in the Gentilino cemetery, but his head was cut off and given to the anatomical cabinet of Ospedale Maggiore to be studied by doctors and scientists. And his head actually remained there until 1949, when it eventually was cleaned out and they buried all the body parts that they had hanging there.
Huh.
Yeah, pretty interesting. He was one of the first people that was studied the brain. They studied his brain to see what a serial killer's brain does, if it's different than a normal person's, if he likes pineapple.
If you notice, his pineapple lobe is larger than it should be.
Another fun little fact. He was the second to last person to be publicly hanged in Italy. The last person, you know the answer to this, Gil.
My favorite hanging. Benito Mussolini. God, that's such a good hanging. He just got the shit.
They hung him by his feet, too, which is,
This is the second time on the show we've talked about this. He is my favorite. Hey, he got brutally, as he should have been, brutally fucking dragged through the streets. The shit, like, it was full-on Richard Ramirez if the cops didn't save him. Like, it was just fucking shit rocked out of him.
It was.
There's photos of it.
Yeah.
God, that was it was a beautiful justice moment. You know, I'm not always gonna sit here and be like, yeah, mob rule, but like, mob rule, bro. Like
For
that was,
sure.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think most people can get behind being like, yeah, I'm glad that happened. About 99% of the world.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
And so ends the story of a cat-killing, mother-murdering, money-stealing, and just in general all-around abhorrent human being, Antonio Boggia, the first Italian serial killer, or also known as the Monster of Milan. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Y'all are the best.
Mm-hmm.
We will see you next week with episode 104, our 2-year anniversary. We love y'all.
And no, I'm not mimicking Richard Nixon.
They can't see that.
It's our 2-year anniversary.
They can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see that. That's fine. You can imagine it now that I've said it, though. This is our 2-year anniversary. Thank you all.
Take it, Joey.
Bye.
Bye.
That he would usually use for this got a notary to sign off on a power of attorney that left 1,400. This is not a word. This is a monetary device.
Meet me in the L-shaped building. It's a lowercase L though, so it's just a line.
But his head was cut off and was given to the anatomical cabinet of Ospedale Maggiore. Italian words.